Hey everyone, my name is Osama. I'm a nuclear engineer in training. You heard that right. Live your life like a falcon. What I'll be talking about today is one of my favorite philosophers and poets from the Indian subcontinent, and his name is Allama Iqbal. Iqbal is an incredible poet and philosopher and someone that I kind of relate to. And the reason why is because he's inspired by not only Eastern philosophy, so poetry like from Rumi, right? But also from that of the West, right? Like he specialized in philosophy and studied Western philosophers like Nietzsche, Goethe, Bergson. He has that perspective that I really relate to. And one of his metaphors that he constantly uses within his poetry, within his philosophical works, is that of the falcon, okay? He constantly mentions the pursuit of excellence to that of a falcon, the transformation of a pigeon to that of a falcon, to that of that noble, virtuous creature which seeks out opportunities. And what I'll be doing is dissecting his philosophy of that of a falcon and why you should live your life like a falcon. Let's start off with Darwin's theory of evolution. So Darwin is a scientist who specifically observed nature and came up with a theory of evolution, more specifically the survival of the fittest. And his theory goes that it is not the most strongest or the most intelligent in a species that has the greatest chance of survival. So if it's not strength or intellect, what is it? It's the ability to adapt to an environment, to adapt and adjust to an environment that makes a species superior, all right? And the same goes for us humans. You know, whether we be athletes like Arnold Schwarzenegger or we be a PhD in 10 different subjects, this quarantine, this change in our environment really pushed all of us to our limits. The gym's closed, you know, that Arnold Schwarzenegger type body is gonna fade away. The library's closed, that intellect is gonna disappear. So how will you adjust to that environment? And if you do, or those of you that do, start flourishing in that environment, you will be the strongest in the human species. So let's go into falcons and I'll break down why a falcon is such a remarkable role model for us ambitious, motivated human beings out there. And let's start off of the environment of a falcon. Falcons are found on almost every continent on this planet. And that's not just a coincidence, except Antarctica, okay? And that's not just a coincidence. The reason why is because they're able to adapt to those environments very quickly, okay? And let's start off with their nesting. Their nesting is very unique to that of other birds. Falcons, they use cliffs, they use mountains, they use other nests of other animals, okay, as their residence. And what that allows them to do is it gives them flexibility to travel everywhere across the planet. So Iqbal says that the East and the West is the falcons, the blue skies. It's not limited. And similarly, us humans, we find it very difficult at times to travel and move. And I find that those who immigrate, they really challenge themselves and get out of their comfort zone. Falcons are minimalist by nature, and you'll see that minimalism, the fact that you're able to adapt and survive in such different environments, it gives you an advantage. It gives you a survival type advantage, okay? In history, there's so many civilizations that have flourished because of minimalism. You'll see the Arabs, they were Bedouins. They didn't have any resources, but in no time they were able to conquer both the Eastern Roman Empire and the Persian Empire within a span of a few decades. And the reason why was because they lived in such harsh environments that they were able to quickly adapt and quickly adjust to their surroundings. Or even the Mongols, Genghis Khan, because he pretty much caused so much destruction and havoc, but they were nomadic tribes. They were nomadic people who lived in tents, who ate meat. They didn't even grow plants or farm because they were so used to just traveling on horseback and just just nomadic, just traveling everywhere. This is actually a mark of adaptation and something that you should look into. Falcons, they don't eat grain, much like pigeons and just regular birds that you see day to day. They're eating grain, they're eating meat, they're eating anything they can get their hands on. But a falcon is very selective in terms of its diet, okay? And this is actually an attribute that Iqbal praises. He says that the falcon has left the life of that of grains and inferior food, and you'll find that those grain or those carbohydrates, right? They represent something that are inferior opportunities, things that are easy to get just out there, right? It's much harder for a pigeon to kill an animal and eat it rather than just eat breadcrumbs that someone is serving it, right? So a falcon, it actively pursues opportunities, and it's not afraid of getting out of its comfort zone and actually challenging itself, okay? And the enthusiasm, Iqbal, he presents the enthusiasm and virtues of a falcon where it actually enjoys the process of pursuing a prey. On the flip end, there are those passive creatures like pigeons and just regular birds, but you see on the flip end, you see vulgar and just vile creature like that of a vulture, right? A vulture is quite disgusting because instead of seeking opportunities and actively pursuing prey, which are hard to get, it actually just waits and lingers for animals to just die, okay? And right when they die, it just gets that meat. And the reason why it's quite a pathetic, in a sense, animal is because those opportunities are pretty much dead opportunities. They're there, right there, and you're not working hard for them. You're not creating anything. You're not using your creative excellence. You're simply just getting a free meal in a sense. Those are the two extremes that Iqbal shows, that a vulture, which is such a despicable animal, and whereas a pigeon, someone that's almost like a regular human, just regular people just doing their day-to-day. But what he pushes for is to become that falcon, to become something which is quite rare. So you'll see that he also calls falcons quite loners, right? Because when you look in the sky, you don't see a falcon very often, and the moment you do, you're like, wow, look up there. And there's a reason for that, and the reason was because falcons are a rare sight, right? You don't see them day to day. To pursue a lifestyle of excellence, to pursue a lifestyle where you're always going out of your bounds, your means of survival is to get out of your comfort zone and to excel and to be active, be fit, to have that sharp mindset and that vision, that long-term vision, is something that not many people achieve. It's the fact that you don't meet those people very often, right? Not everyone in the world is an Elon Musk, okay? Which in my perspective is a falcon, because look at what he did with Tesla. Look at what he did with SpaceX, right? Like, he pursued those opportunities. He found, right? Like, he pretty much made those opportunities a reality, right? And you don't see that very often. You see everyone's more of like a passive pigeon who's trying to please everyone and eat grain and eat whatever is being served. To end off, reflecting on nature is a part of Eastern philosophy, whether that be Iqbal or whether that be Rumi, the poet, the Persian poet. They reflect on nature, and these reflections, they understand the human characteristics, the human psyche, the psychology of a human through that of nature. And those reflections are so valuable. They're so relatable. You can relate to those things so well. They give you such a wonderful example. Like when you go out into a forest and you just see things around you, you look at them from a different perspective. You see them from a perspective of these poets, of these philosophers, right? So I love it. It's been remarkable. It's honestly played a big role in my lifestyle, and just listening to Iqbal and Rumi has has pretty much been phenomenal. And in the description, I'll include a link of one of my favorite YouTube channels, which features Iqbal's poetry, which is in Urdu, my mother tongue, and it's also in English as well. So give that a shot, check out some of his works, and I look forward to covering more of his works in the future. So thank you so much. That's the philosophy of why you need to be a Falcon. How Iqbal has been such an inspirational figure in my life. So thank you so much for listening, and hope you have a nice day.